Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Patrick Gravy Danes, another video. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys are digging. Today I just want to do a really quick video because kind of got caught up in the Leica love. You know what I mean, as far as cameras are concerned. And I bought my first two Leica cameras. I bought the Leica Q. I also bought this M6 right here, titanium brown, buffalo brown Leica M6 here that I honestly couldn't afford a lens for at the time. $3,100 for the, got a great deal on that one. Limited like 500 copies of the Leica M6 TTL. And at the time we were saving for a lens. And I kind of spoke to somebody who was telling me, hey, because I really wanted the Summilux. I wanted to put a Summilux on there, for low lighting and everything like that. And in the process, I kind of got swayed a little bit to the Leica Q with the 28mm, I think f1.7 on there, something like that. So I was really excited about that because I wanted to do some really nice low light photography and Cascade skating rink, of course, in Atlanta. And so I'm at home, you're ready to go home, I'm really excited about it and everything. And I thought at the beginning, like, perhaps I'm just learning my way around the camera, and that's why I'm kind of having some issues. But at the end of the day, I realized that I kind of lost my focus. I'm not one that's, anti-digital and just only, about film and everything like that. But personally, if the level of the stage I am and what I appreciate most from photography, a lot of what I like and enjoy to see in terms of aesthetics is what is presented in the capabilities that film affords you, and I really love doing that. I enjoy what it looks like when you operate within a particular film stock and when you push those limits and the pictures and the imagery that you can get out of those pictures. It's really beautiful, which you can see the sense of consistency, the sense of stretching and pushing the boundaries that you can achieve out of those. And for that reason, I've decided to send my Leica Q back into KEH camera, and I'm gonna do a trade for a 35mm Summicron so that I can finally start shooting on my M6. So I'm really happy and excited about that. But I just want to talk to you guys about that for a moment because pretty much all of my previous photo walk videos that you look at, they're all images from the Leica Q, and they're beautiful, wonderful images. I'm never knocking the camera, never knocking digital, never knocking Leica or the Leica Q or anything like that. But just for me, it wasn't giving me what I particularly needed for what I love most about photography. I see it, since I've started looking at it more intentionally over, probably just over the last 2 years. I've been shooting probably since college, and I say 2006 through 2010. Been taking a lot of pictures then, not really going so hard on YouTube or anything like that, but it's pretty much just a new film experience. I'm looking at in the near future, or I'm not sure what the timeline on it is actually, but I've noticed I was archiving some of my film last night, and I shot quite a lot while we were traveling over the entire country. We went through every single state with the exception of about 3 states, and I took images, all along that travel. And I really enjoyed that process, and I think I have a substantial amount of work that once I kind of look at it and everything, it'll be something beautiful to present. And so I'm looking at the future, maybe having my first year with photography, intentional kind of a book in the near future. But that'll be probably something that I will shelf. Because I haven't seen the community envelop yet. I always talk to creatives about building a community, how important it is to build a community. How much of an effect and impact can you make as a preacher when there's no seats in the congregation? Just sort of an analogy, but you know, not to get too hard and you know, off on a focus, a tangent, you know, off of focus, I should say. But it's interesting because when I bought the Leica Q, you know, I was thinking to myself that I really wanted to put a lens on this camera. You know, when I got this M6, you know, first of all, my fiance told me that, you know, that looks like something that you don't see every day, and you might want to go ahead and, you know, hop on that for sure. And I didn't really question her at all, even though I really wanted the all black one. You know, I really wanted the all black one. But, you know, when I received it in the mail and I finally got home and I held it, you know, it's, you know, everybody knows, well, most people know that the Leica M6 is a very, like, cherished camera in terms of their lineup, and then it's really, you know, the core aesthetics of their lineup. And I always wondered to myself, you know, hey, why does this cost so much? Or, you know, what is it about it? You know, I watched every single video that you could watch about it. I read all the threads and the pinned posts and the, you know, the Reddits and the articles and Ken Rockwell and the Leica articles, and, you know, I listened to what everybody's opinion was of it. You know, I watched, you know, tons of videos where people were just saying, you know, it's not their cup of tea or whatever, you know, in terms of, you know, how they felt about it and everything. But, you know, everybody really goes crazy about it, about this particular camera. I'm not ridiculously crazy about it because I'm just ridiculously crazy about it. You know, I think that when everybody likes something, everybody loves something, you know, whether it's like Jordans or Rolexes or, you know, Leica cameras, I think that there's a reason for that, you know. And the more I go and look into it, it tends to be more about the story. It's the narrative. It's the narrative that helps people to see themselves within the brand. And so I always get curious to what is the narrative. And when I went inside to see what the narrative was on this one, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't go completely through the narrative. What kind of got me was I thought that if I bought this, I would actually have better pictures. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's why I was interested in it at first. I was like, well, you know, I want to really get into film photography, and, you know, this is something I'm very interested in because it's just got this very juicy, dreamy, flattering look to the images. And so I thought that if I got this, I would have better images. I really did. That's why I got interested in this at first, because if I wanted to create, I wanted to create the very best. And one thing I heard everybody talking about was this camera. And so we saved up for it, acquired it. I haven't got the lens for it yet, which is okay. But, and that's on the way. I'm actually, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm gonna, the Leica Q has been appraised by KEH Camera, and they're offering me a quote that is about equal to what it cost for me to put a 35mm Summicron lens on here, which I enjoyed shooting the 28 when I was, you know, when I was shooting the fixed lens on the Leica Q. But there were times where I felt like, you know, this is a little bit too wide. You know, I don't know if it's because we're going through, you know, COVID-19 and everything, that there wasn't a lot of things presented in the scene that I thought would add to the illustrative or the narrative of the imagery. I'm not sure if it's, you know, kind of COVID that impacted my perception of the 28mm, but there were plenty of times where it either wasn't wide enough because I was in landscapes all over the, you know, country and all the different states. I didn't know if it was that, or I didn't know if, you know, and then there's the other situation where I was very attracted to shooting portraits, you know, so I wanted a full frame figure in the portrait, a little bit from the environment to help illustrate the narrative. And the 28mm was leaving so much space around the subject that I almost felt like the subject was getting swallowed up by the environment. It was almost more story being told of the environment than there was of the individual actually in the image. And I'd done so many readings on you know, why people use the 28mm, and, you know, of course I kind of started off originally in street photography and model photography, you know, street photography in college, I would say. But as most recently when I made that decision to acquire the Q, I was most interested in street photography. And one thing that I kind of got to was, one person said that with a 28mm lens, when you're walking in the streets, you don't have to directly point the camera directly at the subject that you're interested in capturing, because the focal point of view, the angle of the focal point of view is so wide that even if you point the camera to the side, the subject would still end up being in the frame in an unintimidated factor where you don't have to point directly at the camera, thus rendering the subject in a posing factor, if you will. You know, if somebody's posing, you know, therefore the natural aesthetic is completely, the moment is missed. And that's pretty much part of the way some people, or the main reason why some people do street photography, because they can capture the natural aesthetic of how an individual looks in the environment. But if they see you, it's no longer natural. Some purists would say that it's no longer street photography. But, you know, I would beg to differ, you know, or perhaps there's just different types of portrait modeling, you know, because, you know, I have the gift of gab. I've never met a stranger in my entire life. You know, maybe people that are already in a bad mood, you know, come off as they're in a bad mood because there's something completely unrelated to the moment that you guys are in at that moment that is inducing a bad moment. It has nothing to do with you. But I could walk into the streets in Little Five Points or Bankhead or Cascade or Eastside or whatever, College Park, anywhere, Old National, it doesn't matter. And when I go to those places, you know, it's very easy to just ask someone if you can take their picture. And the number one psychological need in the world is people want to be loved, they want to be noticed, they want to be acknowledged. So, you know, unless you're just being a weirdo or something like that, or just being, you know, super extra goofy and, you know, all of that or whatever, but people would naturally be willing to allow you to shoot their picture. Thus is where, you know, the analogy connects back to the previous statement I was talking about, you know, is street photography, you know, still street photography is being posed. Also going back to the angle of focus for why I was actually initially induced to want to acquire the Leica Q that has the 28mm fixed Zoom-Lux lens on it, which is like, everybody will tell you, you know, it's literally a $6,000 lens on a, you know, that already comes on the Q and everything like that. And so I felt like it was a really amazing deal, and so I kind of hopped on it, and I, you know, had a great experience. And I will say, out of everything, you know, there's not too many products on the market that you can buy in terms of like camera equipment and camera gear that will hold its value like that. You know, if I would have sold it personally, I definitely could have marked the value up, you know, a couple $100 and still made more money off of what I paid the initial $2,600, because it's actually hard to acquire like the Qs under, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 on like eBay. And I got mine for $2,600 off Facebook Marketplace. I got a great deal for it, you know. I know KDH cameras definitely gonna make more money off of that camera, and so it just brings me back to the fact that, you know, when you do purchase like this, everybody in every single YouTube video on the internet will tell you, even videos that aren't YouTube videos, they will tell you that, hey, you know, if you buy a Leica, you'll either make your money back, or you might make an invest, you might make more money, you might make a profit, you know, and that's so true. You know, it's depending on how anxious you are to sell it. You know, when you are ready to sell it, you know, it could really essentially be like a CD account, you know, putting money into it, because the value, the narrative, the story that they built within the brand is one that's been continually respected. It's respected. And so I really look forward to learning more about the narrative, the story behind like the way things happen and all of that, because, you know, what really took me and threw me for a loop that I loved the most was literally the ergonomics. I ordered this thing, and when I got home from out of town, and it was, you know, got it, you know, and I picked up the order and everything like that, I picked this thing up, and, you know, no lie, like, you know, this is my hand, you know, but the metal, the titanium it's made out of, it feels so solid. You know what I mean? If you have a license to bear arms, like, this thing feels like arms in your hand. Like, this thing is solid, you know, and it's it's really precious to be able to have a tool to use on something that you're very passionate about, or something that you're learning about, that you want to, you know, grow passion in and grow seriousness and intention, and create artwork. My degree is, my bachelor's degree is in fine art. So just imagine if I was able to use like a titanium paintbrush that's wrapped in leather, and beautiful buffalo brown leather and everything like that. Like, the tools you use is really interesting, because a lot of the really amazing photographers that are also my friends are saying that you should use what brings you joy to use, what makes it fun to create. That's the statement of 2020, because everybody that is successful anywhere has done videos on product reviews and on popular brands like this Leica, this M6, but talking about maybe the Leica Q, or just talking about things that we know you all love, cherish, and really respect as being household brands. We know that, so it's impossible to find anybody that probably hasn't done a product review, because it's literally like clickbait. It'll draw you in to look at it and pay attention. Maybe that's what this is, but I would say that it's much more interesting and deeper than that, because you might start at that point, or you might find yourself at that point. But at the end of the day, I would say try to find yourself within the narrative, within the story of a brand, finding out what it is that they stand for, what their core beliefs are, what their values are, how much time they take in craftsmanship, because all of those things are going to allude to the experience and the way you feel, the value that you get from using the product at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't even got to use this. I haven't even got to shoot this camera yet. I've been pressing the shutter and winding the film as if there's actually film in there, just because it feels so great to hold it. Like my tuba right here. It's really just a really fun camera to simply hold. So I know at the end of the day, it's gonna be a fun camera to use. And my experience, like I said before, with the Leica Q was really awesome. It was an awesome experience. Ergonomically, I loved holding it. It felt solid in my hand. I really enjoyed picking up that camera. But my one regret would be the fact that I lost focus. My focus in the beginning was to use this camera, put Summilux on it, and I kind of cringed at $6,000 for a lens. I cringed at that. So when I saw that I could get the lens that I wanted on this camera but fixed on another camera, and then also I have the digital quick production time, that led me to wanting to. My dog is not feeling me in here constantly talking. She wants me to holler at her anyway. I'll introduce y'all to Georgia one day. But I lost focus, and I should have put a lens on this one instead of getting a whole other camera, but I'm thankful for the experience, because I learned that what I love most about photography happens to be, the film aesthetic. I love the things you can do with film. I love the fact that you can interchange film stocks. I love that you can push the film and get different looks. I love that so much, and it looks so great, and it looks so awesome. The only thing I would do is make it so this film camera could easily be a film video camera simultaneously. I wish that film stocks were not only still frame, but also motion picture film stocks. It would be lovely if this M6, I could put Cinestill 800T in here and go out at night and shoot a video on that same film stock, or shoot still frame photography on that same film stock and get that developed. That would be beautiful. I have no clue how heavens that would happen, but that would be amazing. The way things look, it's beautiful to think about what time of the day is it right now, and what film stock should I be using based upon this time of the day. It just makes the conversation so much more interesting, so much more of a process, so much more of something that you can have fun with. All of these things, definitely cost more money. You gotta pay for film. You gotta pay for film to get developed. If you don't know how to develop, you gotta pay for it to get scanned. If you don't know how to scan it, you gotta pay for it to get printed. If you don't know how to print it, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta pay for all those things. Even some labs, charge extra to push the film, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I think, whatever is making the experience lovely for you and making the experience fun.